know how I do.
Mass amounts of rifling. However, Song of the Siren disjointed the fight and came back in favor of Fnatic.
And welcome back. Game number 2 of our best of 5 Western Finals. One of these two teams will be advancing to Vegas. The other, well, they'll be finishing up and watching from home. Polar trails in this series 0-1 with Empire just running them over, flat out running them over, as a matter of fact, in a game 1 that lasted less than 30 minutes. And as I'm sure will be a joy to everyone, including myself, our good friend Trout has managed to join us now. We did move the time of the matchup a little bit here today, so he missed that first game, but now gaining that insight and analysis I'm looking forward to, and I know all of you are as well. Trout, my friend, welcome in. And like I was saying, game 1, it was very one-sided. I really didn't like the draft that much of Polar. It was very one-dimensional, completely magic damage based outside of Illidan, who was on the anti-mage. And it was just kind of a let's make space with 4. A 4 protect 1 in every sense of the word. And they didn't protect very well as they lost their towers very quickly to a very well put together composition from Team Empire. And Illidan, even though he did have top CS by a mile by the time all was said and done, it just still wasn't enough. He wasn't able to go 1 versus 5 at that 30-minute mark.
It looks like they might do a little bit of the same with this IO Tiny. I mean, if there's any combination that can push really hard, it's those two heroes. I was actually thinking yesterday, I was playing a game, and there was mega creeps against us, and I'm like, oh, crap. And I was just brainstorming heroes of who were the best at actually pushing through mega creeps and actually ending a game. And Wisp Tiny comes to mind. That's kind of a funny little thing that I was thinking about. But yeah, so they're going to know with Wisp Tiny. I saw the end game stats, too. Someone on VP.Polar, I think it was the Skywrath player, had like just bought nothing but belts of strength.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of frustration coming in there towards the end.
Oh,
but,
definitely.
But yeah, I apologize I couldn't make that one. And but anyway, Team Empire now with the Skywrath, Tiny, Wisp, Tidehunter. Pretty, I don't want to say standard, but we've seen this a lot. It's very tried and true. Tiny and Wisp could be mid against potentially the Razor. Skywrath is a great hero in this mix because it's a great hero that can sustain on his own in a safe lane. It's not like, you know, you don't want to have some kind of melee hero that can't harass effectively an offlaner. This hero can harass and move around effectively on his own. He doesn't need any kind of counterpart to help him out in that regard. So it's kind of a good pairing with the Wisp Tiny.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree with you. And tell you the truth, Wisp Tiny and Tidehunter, really, those three in and of themselves. And there's plenty for us to talk about regarding Faceless Void and what's going on with that composition. We'll get to that in a minute. I actually really like the Razor pickup in the face of the and it's really kind of smart the way they drafted this, because you see the IO, then the Razor's there because the first pick went to Polar, so they grabbed the Magi, then Tide and IO, and they pick up the Razor, which is actually a very solid answer to Tiny in pretty much every sense of the word. But I really like the way that Tiny and IO, as well as Tidehunter, those three, the way they work together. You're able to play very defensively, get a blink on Tide, sit back, and then just wait and just say, okay, I'm gonna wait for you to relocate in. You just watch, you continue to farm, you continue to do your own thing. And, you know, say Tiny and I are out farming a lane or whatever, ready to come to a fight. They relocate into the back of a fight, hit an avalanche, and that 1 second is all it takes to set up a perfect Ravage. And those three heroes never really lose that synergy. That's not a combination that ever gets bad at any point in the game just because of how they work. But on the side of Polar, I like that they have drafted a much more well-rounded lineup in terms of having punching power at all phases of the game. You're going to have very strong roam out of Lil on the Witch Doctor, F&G on the Ogre Magi. Going to have solid mid-game with the TA and the Razor. And, of course, Void can go late and can be an absolute beast in that regard as well. So a much better put-together composition, in my opinion, this time.
Yeah, Craggy Exterior is going to be kind of annoying for the TA and the Void in particular. Razor's not going to really have too much of a problem with it, but potentially could if you're walking up really closely with auto attacks, as most good players do. Like what most good players will do is once you suck that damage, or just on any hero in general, you try to attack walk and get as close to the target as possible, just because even with ranged heroes, just because of your projectile gets there faster, you're essentially attacking quicker and getting more damage done. So that can be a big nuisance, but the biggest problem is for Void. So if it gets procced with Craggy Exterior, it could be annoying. Could be some action up here in the top room.
Yep, there's going to be a cast. Does manage to get the proc, but moving a little too quickly is always one to fly. And for them to track him down, they do end up grabbing the bounty rune on the Witch Doctor. At bottom, it's a regen, so basically a dead rune, but you know, there's going to be a lot of things coming in with the newest patch that was just announced, and that's one of them. The fact that the level 0, or I guess time 0 runes are going to be both bounty, that are a little bit more valuable this time around. And I was just thinking that as well, the fact that what we're likely to see this game, the synergy between Mag on the Void and the Witch Doctor, his ulti, since it is a ward classified kind of a thing, you can't drop that into Chronosphere and stuff. How do you feel as we watch the laning phase take place? And certainly we'll focus on this match, but how do you feel about the new patch, just in a sentence or two? I
love it, actually.
Yeah,
like I was not a fan of the last patch, or the last big one, the Rekindling Flame, Rekindling Fire.
Rekindling the Soul, I think.
Yeah, there you go. I was actually kind of disappointed with that patch in general, but and I haven't thoroughly read all the notes for this new one upcoming. Actually, hold that thought. I see Pink up top. He's gonna throw.
We're gonna have Always Want to Fly caught from behind. That's a lot of damage being sapped by Illidan. They've got him. That's first.
More auto attack.
Oh no, he actually stutter stepped it. He stutter stepped his auto attack. He had him. He had plenty of damage by that point to have cleaned him up, and that's a big missed opportunity there for VP.
He had boots too. But luckily for Skywrath, getting these movement speed buffs in the last couple patches, I think he was like 315 movement speed, or a little less than 325, but he is very fast, one of the fastest supports. But yeah, that should have been a kill, I agree. But I haven't thoroughly read all the patch notes for 6.83, but the ones I just kind of glimpsed over it, and I really like it. Like this, especially the rune change, one of the first changes that they talk about. Yeah. Like, I can't tell you enough how many times level 1 runes, I don't care who you are, what you say, so many times level 1 runes can kind of totally skew a game. They really can.
Oh no, complete. Dude, I've been working in and around this scene, you know, going back to pre-TI2 days. If there's one consistent complaint I've heard from almost every player, it's that level 1, oh geez, big toss on the Phobos. Resolution tossed him back. Are they going to be able to get him? Refraction just off cooldown. And, they still might get him. Resolution gonna dive him in with one big swing of the fist. First blood goes to Empire as they continue to roll with all of this momentum they've built over the last 36 hours or so. They were clean yesterday, went 2-0-2-0 over Tinker and Snaw. They win game 1 here, and now a great start to game 2.
God, and Wisp has a regen too, so now TA has to come back into this lane with full mana Wisp, full mana Tiny, and one interesting thing too is picking the TA into the Tiny specifically, just because Avalanche is thought to be quite good against the refraction. It bursts through most of those refraction charges right away.
So, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Well, but anyway, just to finish the thought, especially mid players, but like going back all the way to, I'm talking way back when, you know, to TI2 days is just the strength of the level 1 haste in particular. Haste is like, you would think it'd be DD, but the one I hear the most complained about is level 1 haste at the pro level. Up at the top, more damage being done. Can they catch him this time? Got him. That time he didn't stutter step the auto attack. Lil makes it away with just about 100 HP, but that's going to be a 1-for-1 this time, so Polar able to get themselves on the board.
Yeah, man, they're all bad. Like, haste is... Like, for instance, when we saw that level 1 exchange between the supports up at the top rune, you remember that? Like, if that was a haste, one of those heroes were easily going to die.
Yep.
Could have even died if there was a double damage as well. But for me, personally, I hate the invis rune. Like, that as a mid player, if I see a support grabbing an invis rune, you basically have to sit back for, like, the first minute and a half, and you just lose mid lane. It's just awful. Oh,
they're going to go on Phobos. Gonna go straight with the toss, and I'm surprised. I guess he didn't have anything to toss too. Last time when they got that kill on the TA, and actually Illidan going toe-to-toe with Always Want to Fly again, and he's gonna be able to clean him up. And I feel like they're not respecting Illidan's Razor enough. This hero just does a ridiculous amount of damage. Will they get a good bounce? Nope. They got a good bounce there on the cast. They would have killed Silent as well, but not the case. And back in the lane now. Empire now trailing 2-1. I was going to say I like their lane choice, but the way they're playing this out is not working. Illidan is actually going to get caught from behind. One arcane bolt brings him very close. Lil? Yeah, there we go. Lily will end up dying in the shadow of his own tier 1. And they're getting bossed around up here. They rotated FNG elsewhere, and with his absence, Empire just completely capitalized on it.
Yeah, it just shows you how much damage they're doing too, because they spread out their nukes on both heroes, and they still were able to easily take down the Witch Doctor. FNG is here, he's level 2, and he's going to throw out some nukes. Here comes Razor with the static link. The slow doesn't go on the Razor, so Razor's going to get the full amount of this damage.
Let's see if he's got the right click. Very tanky Jakiro. Tough to track down in that regard. And, you know, that's another... This is really just a smart draft out of Polar in a lot of ways. Talked about, you know, the way most of these heroes work, but the Ignite with its slow, helping out Razor. Excellent tool, especially here in the laning phase. So far, it's 2-2. We're coming up on 6 minutes in, but in terms of pure out-and-out efficiency, it is 100% a win for Empire. They're at almost 2,000 gold lead right now. The XP is a little bit closer than that. A lot of that has to do, though, with Yoki's performance down here. He's at 30, soon to be 38 CS, 37 for the moment on this Tidehunter, and he is bossing Mag around. He's more than doubling up his overall CS total, being able to bring down DK Phobos here in mid. Empire bossing around this as well, but you would expect that in a dual lane, especially one that innately favors the Tiny over the TA. What do you think, Polar? I mean, at what point does Polar begin to break things down a little bit? Like, the status quo ain't working. Well,
it looks like they want to right now, because Mag's rotating in and trying to get an ulti off. I think this is the right decision, because he cannot be in this lane against Tidehunter. This is a really awful lane for him. I talked yesterday how we saw a Tidehunter versus a melee matchup, and the only time Tidehunter really gets posed with any kind of problems is against like a Timbersaw. Sometimes Panda can do okay. Oh, action up top. I see Orange in a little bit of trouble. Silent probably going to fall here. Yeah.
Yeah, easily. He is doing some fair damage, but Always Want to Fly, not about to rush 1-on-3 just to save his buddy. And there's going to be another toss on the DK Phobos. Avalanche to follow. Refraction is on cooldown, but TP is going to come in. And with no mana, I think Resolution makes the right decision there not to pursue out. He may think about going for a toss here soon. I don't know if he got eyes on Lil. If he didn't, they may decide to stay aggressive, but bottling, keeping both sides up pretty effective.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Yep, they're going to go on Resolution now, though.
And we're going to have Illidan engaged at top as well. Resolution will be able to make it back to safety. Illidan not likely to be as fortunate. One more Arcane Bolt. Hell, they don't even need it. A couple of auto attacks will do. And I really like this build out of Silent, except for the Macro Pyre. I really am not a fan of Macro Pyre level 6. It's so mana demanding, and generally the utility of it at this stage of the game, just to me anyway, at my terrible trench level, and so take that with a grain of salt, just seems to be not worth the investment in mana, as opposed to getting at least 1 point into Ice Path just as a disruptive ability. However, and also the second point in the Dual Breath. Dual Breath is kind of a 1-point wonder in a lot of ways. I mean, it scales, but not particularly well. What do you think the thought process behind that is?
Well, I know for sure why people go up another level in Dual Breath is because if you look at the scaling of the damage, it more than doubles from a level. Oh, actually, hold that thought. FNG putting some damage onto Silent. Silent getting his damage sucked out, and one more auto attack plus the nuke. And Illidan gets a free and easy kill. It seems like rinse repeat up here in the top lane on both sides, but the damage goes from 16 to 36, so it more than doubles in level 1. But then after that, it actually doesn't double anymore, not even close. So it's actually a very good point at level 2. It's better than any other level 2. So people usually rush to level 2 on the dual breath. As far as the macro pyre is concerned, I understand why people take it like it's just a 1 point. It's just a new ability that you have, and I understand that Ice Paths could be good. I think it's just one of those things where you evaluate where you are in the lane, and you decide based on what's going on at that time, which spell you want to get more. If it feels like you need to cancel a TP or something like that, then you'll level up the Ice Path. But I would say more times than not, people get macro pyre, and the mana issues aren't usually too cumbersome for this hero, just because he has a very good innate base mana pool and HP pool. Yeah. And since Liquid Fire doesn't cost any mana, I think he's okay to get away with it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like he survives, for example, in that last little engagement if he has Ice Path. There's going to be the relocate fuse for the first time, and that's going to be a kill onto the Razor. One would think. Macro Pyre goes down, but it goes down late. There's going to be a Chrono that got 2, though. Mag coming in right on time. It's Silent. There's a Ravage, though, from Yoki. Silent able to keep himself alive a little bit longer, still being pursued out by Mag. In the meantime, they're going to be able to track down 2 under the tower. Silent and Mag going toe-to-toe. Will he get him? They will, but he's going to end up trading himself. That's not worthy at all. 4 for 2. Polar gives up more ground to Empire. A nice rotation coming out of Polar, but just unable to put it together. Now they're re-engaging immediately on the Phobos, who has no mana, can't refract even if it wasn't off cooldown. But looks like Lil's going to be there to bail him out. Another TPN. These two teams, man, this is almost a replay of Game 1. Like, it was just kind of quiet, a little back and forth. Then you get into about 10 to 20 minutes in. Like, between 10 and 25 minutes, tremendous number of kills occurred, and I don't think there's any reason to believe this game's going to be any different.
The Ruskies.
The Ruskis.
Yes. And, yeah, using the relocate to its full effectiveness early on, right off the gate, and this Tidehunter, man, is so freaking farmed. I think that it was a really nice laning assignment from Empire. They knew that Void was going to be in the off lane. They knew that they could get away with this dual lane off lane, and by get away, I don't really necessarily mean win, but they could contest a little bit and be annoying. Yoki blinks away right from the static link. Only 14 damage stolen there by Illidan. But it was a really nice laning here. Specifically just pitting this Tidehunter up against this melee hero, and Void had not a chance to win that lane.
Up at top, Yoki engaged upon, doesn't have a Ravage, but always want to fly is there. Silenced out, and Aloha came in. He come in by himself? I think he did. Yeah. Don't know if that was intentional or not. It's going to end up being a death one way or the other as Phobos makes his first appearance in this top lane. Yoki chased into the woods, and Empire going to lose 2 this time, one of which is a very high-value kill for them. Tide did spend his gold on a Staff of Wizardry before dropping, so didn't lose much there in that regard, but still gives up a bit and certainly helps catch Phobos up a little bit, who for the most part has been struggling. I mean, he's in the middle of the pack, but 40 CS out of mid is, at 12 minutes is not what you want on your Templar Assassin. And again, in terms of late game, I actually give the edge to Empire, purely based on the strength of Tiny IO late game, and assuming all things are equal with Tidehunter and a Refresher. But that's not to say that there isn't a lot of late game damage that VP can build out as well. I mean, we've seen Void be a beast. Razor, of course, is always a nuisance. And TA, I think, is overlooked for just how nasty she can be between 40 and 50 minutes in a lot of cases. So this is really where both teams need to do a lot of work to position themselves for that late game.
Yeah, I think TA can be very scary in late game as well. Here comes an ulti, actually. Yoki blinks into the Chronosphere. Mag is still going to die, though. One more auto attack.
Oh, they're going to get him. And Lil in the next to drop. They didn't even get Silent. Empire pouring it on an FNG. Caught from behind. A well-shot Ice Path. It was the swan song of the THD as he died behind it. But ends up hitting the Ice Path and securing a kill for Always Want to Fly, who busted him with the... Oh, hang on, relocate Illidan. Gotta be careful. Can't be walking around with a quarter health and full range whenever you've got a Tiny IO on the map. And yeah, this is actually, in my opinion, we'll check the graphs. This is, yeah, exactly what I expected. that sequence right there is crippling for them. They lost so much so quick. They wasted a chrono, got nothing out of it. Yoki's still in great position. Yoki actually can buy his full force staff like now, basically. And he might have to as he's in some trouble. TP's coming in. Phobos is playing. Wow. Ultra aggressive. Oh, that's unfortunate. That makes a little more sense. Well, and we'll hope that Phobos comes back soon.
Yeah, that's... Oh, you're watching bottom? I was watching mid. Is he just like AFK down there or something?
Yeah, he disconnected. He basically dove Yoki right into a TP for no reason at all.
Maybe they'll let him go away. I mean, he does have a haste rune in his bottle, so he's actually probably fine with a 12-stick charge. Well, we'll see. I'm not... Is there an ultimate down? No, okay.
No, there's no Ravage.
I think he's okay. But mid lane, it was a really nice avalanche there to get Lil right after the tower. In fact, Lil was probably way too far up, trying to get overconfident and trying to deny the tower. And then Silent now hits him with the Ice Path. It's only level 2. Oh, it's level 2, actually. Okay, yeah, that's a dead Witch Doctor.
I was getting ready to type something. Our admin is actually on an airplane right now, our lead admin. So I'm wearing 2 hats today instead of my normal flat cap. I have 2 more on top as well. But hopefully he'll be back shortly. While we do have a minute, want to remind everyone that if you happen to be looking for a Dota event, I don't know, maybe a January, post New Year's trip to Vegas, got a pretty good destination for you at Caesar's Palace. You can find all of the information about our D2L Grand Finals at d2l.gg. We're going to be releasing a little bit more information over coming days as well, leading up. That's really not that far away. We're talking... Let's see, like Saturday's the 20th, so you're talking about 2.5 weeks, make it about 3.5 weeks from now. And I know for a fact there are still rooms available at Caesars, as well as a ton of hotels that are in the general vicinity, such as Harrah's, and would love to have you there. And it's going to be 4 teams, e.g. CDEC, LV, and the winner of this series. And Trout and I will be there in the flesh, as will all of the players. It'll be at CES 2015, and doesn't get any more iconic than Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas if you're looking for a trip to Sin City. So would love to have you come out and visit. And the best part, IMO, is it's completely free. All you have to do is show up. Show up, first come, first serve, 200, 300 people at a time, give or take. And you can join us, hang out, drink some, throw some dice, and watch some Dota. And it'll be a good time will be had by all. And I'm not sure what's being said. Well, oh look, no, it's the same thing the Chinese always say. Like whenever we see like words we don't understand, AC is awesome.
Yes.
And so is Trout. Awesome.
Yep. I don't expect it would be anything else. But I'm excited, man. I've never been to Vegas actually myself. So
it's a trip, dude. Yeah, it's a trip, especially Caesars. Caesars is one of the best in terms of really enrapturing you in the Vegas feeling, whenever you watch movies or whatever else. And it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's always fun whenever you and I get a chance to get on the mic live side by side, which looking ahead to 2015 should happen a lot more than it did in 2014, if I would imagine anyway. But it'll be a nice way to get things going in that first week of January. So, and what's your game? You a blackjack guy? You a poker guy?
Yeah,
poker.
Yep, Texas.
Just like every other pro gamer.
Okay, my little story. Oh, I'll have to maybe hold that thought as it looks like we are ready. But yep, Lil, you're probably gonna die. I'll look bottom here, and yeah, that haste rune will help out poor DK Phobos. But Lil, not so lucky.
Yep, Phobos, as you said, makes it away with the haste. Lil ends up biffing it, and right now Empire is looking strong, and they're continuing to pour it on. And the issue is, we're getting to the point, and it's not quite there yet. I mean, it's just the composition with a Void Eraser and a TA. That composition should be dominant. Oh, wow. Caught him from behind with the Avalanche. There's the silence and the toss back. Cask well spread. That's just beautiful play from Empire, actually. It's not the hardest. They have no detection. Come on, guys. Oh, they're going to toss the Tiny. Yeah, they can actually just anchor smash him to death. And one more. There you go. So wasting their time at best, but that was actually just beautifully done. The cast came out, one ran here, one ran here, one ran here, and they knew because of this one that they had TA hemmed in regardless, so they just finished him off. Dude, Empire has looked better in the last 36 hours than I've seen them look in probably a year or more.
I am going to say the same thing, man. Like, I remember them doing this before, though, at the the
Radiant's top tower
I want to say
is
height
under
of their
attack.
career, so to speak, when I remember them being the strongest was, I want to say Star Ladder 8? Star Ladder 9? I think it was Star Ladder 9 when DK was there and they won it. And it was Empire who took second, and they beat
bottom
EG
tower
in
is
this
under attack.
loser bracket finals.
Yeah.
And that's when they were, I think, the strongest. And they kind of fell off after that. But they're kind of looking like they were back then, and it's pretty impressive to see. I'm seeing little hints of inconsistencies in their play, but once they fix those, or once they don't have those things happen, they are looking quite good. So it's fun to watch.
Item development, a big deal right now for Empire, as Aloha has an urn, which is nice, certainly on an IO, but Silent has finished his Yules at sub 16 minutes, and more importantly, Resolution has Tread's Drum Scepter at 16 minutes in. He is way ahead, to the point that he is more than 2K, basically half of a big item ahead of the closest on the side of Polar. I don't know, and just to revisit your point for a minute, I agree, like that is an iconic time, and we'll hold that thought for a minute as Silence engaged upon, shows off the Yules. There's a nice path. Resolution's right there. They're going to blow up FNG. Here comes Chrono, though. And Silent, another beautiful Ravage. Mag dies, they lose Silent, but it's irrelevant. Death Ward from Lil, though, and Resolution tries to get out, can't make it. Yuki going toe-to-toe with the big bad doctor. He has to make a run for it as well. They end up going 3 for 2, but that's about to be a 3 for 3, unless they get Lil, and they will. Yoki's so tanky, so damn tanky, has a blink in 1 second. He can blink! Blink! Why would you? I guess he just wants to heal. Hell with it. I was going to say you could just, there you go. Now he'll blink away. And that was actually very well managed as well. What looked like it was going to be a trade even. I mean, just more good reactions. This, and you certainly have more insight into this than I do, and pretty much anyone does. It's not of a pro gamer level. When I see play that's this tight and everything is going this well, and even when you're caught out, you're still able to turn what should be losses at least into break-evens and turn break-evens into wins, that indicates to me that it's a team that's completely on the same page. Their communication is spot on, and they're all really listening and all really functioning as a unit, as opposed to what you often see whenever, hold that thought again, FNG engaged upon.
God, that was so easy.
Yeah, not even hard. But anyway, would you say that's the case, or am I just being a little melodramatic?
No, absolutely. And I think that the really good teams are the ones that play together enough to know when they should fight or flight. Like when, and they don't even have to say anything. So they just see a situation, even if it somewhat looks bad because your team's getting initiated on, they don't even have to say anything because they know that they have the tools and the capability to actually fight it. And I think being able to save those words and save your time for saying, should we fight, should we not? And like making a decision rather than just making it instinctive and everyone knows in your team, it saves you a lot of time, and it actually makes a difference. And I don't know if that's the case, but I'm assuming it is because they're making quick decisions on this team of Empire.
You know, that is such good insight, man, because it's something I've been saying it since way back in the day, and Lord knows I'm no expert now, but I feel like I know quite a bit more now compared to TI2. Even going back to those days, I used to use the phrase deliberate Dota. There's just, you know, you can just, a team feels deliberate in what they're doing. They feel very focused. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of downtime. It doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of scatter time. And it's like every second that ticks off the clock is being used for a purpose. And it makes so much sense when you phrased it the way you did. It's like, oh yeah, you know, you just played together, you're all on the same page to the point that you save those words. And in exchange, I would imagine you save, like you said, you save that time, and that time is then spent discussing things that matter. And that's what gives it that deliberate feel. You're not having to spend a whole lot of time discussing options or whatever. You're just all so on the same page that you react very quickly. One person says something that everyone else is already thinking, then it just happens. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yep. Smoke down here bottom with the Ravage up and ready to go. This guy has been on top of his Ravages at the perfect times.
Oh, this is what I was talking about. There's the relocate, the Ravage as well. And FNG dead as well. Beautiful toss. Did he just toss him into a Yules? I think he did. Like, unless, well, wow, he actually makes it away by some miracle. But, I don't know, maybe that just looked weird because I was watching out of the corner of my eye. It looks like he got tossed and he like got Yules in midair. And Phobos caught from behind, Avalanche. Not enough to stun him through the, to break the refraction down entirely. Nonetheless, another big win for Empire. Empire still has 2 tier 1s standing, man. Like, that's the situation, that's how well they're doing. And not to say anything bad about Polar, they have 1 still up in all of their tier 3 or tier 2s. but they are just in such control of this, and this Tiny is not going to be slowed down anytime soon.
Yeah, and while I like the BKB on Razor and I think it's necessary, the only scary thing is that he's going to burst through these charges so fast. I've talked about this before in cast prior, that when it comes down to 5 seconds, he's just going to feel very useless in fights. Because that 5-second duration is not long enough at all. It's long enough to dodge an initial jump of Tidehunter Ravage, maybe, and then after that you just have to run away, and then you can't fight in the fight anymore. So Silent, he's going to bump right into FNG. He pings him out. Oh, the Ice Path is a little bit off the mark. Nice TP from FNG. But they didn't have oh no, they did have Relocate actually ready to go.
Nonetheless, bit of a missed opportunity, but still very much Empire's game to win at this point. We're just 20 minutes in, but they're already 10K ahead, so you're talking 500 gold per minute lead generated since the game got underway. And Resolution's going Assault Cuirass, and he's almost got the damn thing. He's already got his plate mail and the Hyperstone. If you're Polar, what's the plan, man? I mean, this, you know, again, I feel like their team can go late, but not nearly as well as Empire's. Now FNG caught from behind. Illidan's going to land in. There's the BKB. He's there along with Phobos, but this is being kited out very well. Resolution, tough to track down. Mag actually gets craggied and finally catches him from behind, but that craggy actually may have just saved him. And behind that, Yoki still being pursued, but yeah, Phobos just has nothing to give. Macropyre, Ice Path, hello. A lot of magic damage in a hurry.
Tiny Whisper coming back in too. Right onto the Razor. Oh my god.
Oh man. Brutality, and Polar's gonna give up another. 3 down. This is a rout. Everything Empire seems to be doing seems to be working, and working well. 24-11, another tower down. And I said this last time, and I'll say it again. If there's one team in this tournament, in any tournament as a matter of fact, that is not scared of going high ground early, that does not believe in playing passive, it's these guys. They take a win, they're going to take high ground, and they're going to take a tier 3 at bare minimum.
This Wisp player is actually not too bad on this hero. Like, Aloha Dance has been playing very well.
Yep.
That was a really nice, quick relocate, anticipating the Chronosphere from Void. I almost venture to say that he probably didn't even need it just if he got another Craggy exterior proc. And even if he doesn't, he has sufficient armor with the level 4 Craggy, and then actually with the plate mail, he's sitting at about 21 armor. So he's pretty damn tanky. Like, Void does no damage right now. It's very negligible. And like I said, with the BKB down after the initial go of the team fight, Razor, oh my god. They relocated him out defensively, but then they came back in right on top of the Razor. I don't know if he forgot or anything, but he was standing right on top of the relocate spot and just got bursted the F up. And yeah, to answer your question earlier, how did VP.Polar get back into this? Well, one, they probably don't, but if they did, I think it sounds funny, but I think it has to be the Ags on the Witch Doctor. I know it's crazy to say that, but
no, it makes sense.
I think they actually have to get an Ags on the Witch Doctor in order to actually have the damage output in these fights.
Well, he's working on it, but having 2,600 net worth is usually does not bode well for your chance to actually get a Scepter. He's got a quarter of it, at least for the moment. And you know, a problem he faces though is they have so many ways to knock him out of the channel. You got Avalanche, you've got Ravage, you've got Ice Path, and Resolution will get caught here. And Ice Path from Silent, he's going to use one. Look at the Craggy.
Yep.
He just got Craggy like 3 times in a row. There's going to be an Ice Path Macropyre there. Now they're going to turn it around with a Ravage. Empire takes what looked to be a sure thing and makes it a painful, regrettable moment from Polar. Triple kill for Resolution. Yoki's gonna make it a full 5-man wipe. And this one's over. GG, they are done. And what can you even say? I think they need to unpause, right?
I don't even know. Probably, yeah.
Please.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So that way we can at least get the in-game screen. This is a flashback to the glory days of Empire, like you were talking about. I'm trying to remember. To me, the quintessential Empire team will always, always, always be that Empire squad that was Gold Black, Funnick, and a couple of others. Like, to me, that was always the Empire that I remembered. That was just so dominant. Didn't lose, like, if I'm not misremembering, and I'm pretty sure it was like early 2013 Empire. Are we talking about the same team?
Early 2013?
Yeah, early 2013 Empire.
I'm not talking that early, no.
Okay.
I'm talking like probably early 2014 Empire.
Yeah.
Like, not I would say not leading up to TI, but months prior. Where they were looking, like right around that Starladder 9 era. If that's the correct number, I'm thinking of where they took second and DK took first. That's when they looked best to me. When Resolution was owning everybody mid. That's when that's the one I'm talking about.
Well, whatever. This team, if they can continue to perform to this level, and that's 6 games in a row they've won in D2L play in 36 hours, man. Like, they are absolutely on fire. And now they find themselves just 1 win away from punching their tickets to Vegas for our grand finals. 10-1 for Resolution, owning people mid indeed. 194 CS for him. Phenomenal play. Really, Yoki is such a standout star, man. I feel like that guy does not get enough credit. It's rare that we cast a game that Empire's in and we're not talking about Yoki having. Like, that is super rare. He is just so good at what he does. And then you look at even Silent on the Jakiro. 3 and 5, whatever, but he was involved in 19 other kills. So 22 kills he was involved in on that Jakiro. And I don't even know what you say. I mean, you look at Mags, Void just never got his legs underneath him. You look at the Razor, 6 deaths in a sub 25-minute game. That's unacceptable. And 4 deaths on DK Phobos in the TA. Looking ahead to our next one, man. I mean, like, Empire has just looked so good. Like, I can't believe the resurgence we've seen in that team just now.
It was just really brilliant laning, actually, from Empire, because if you think about what VP could have done and what they probably should have done, whenever you see a Wisp Tiny, it's almost always, I'd say 90% a Wisp Tiny mid, right? Because they just, for obvious reasons, they can, they have access to the runes a little bit easier with Wisp. They can stack, especially on Radiant, they can stack a little bit easier at the same time. So Wisp Tiny is almost always mid. If they decided to go aggro, or do some kind of aggro dueling, like Razor Ogre off, and Faceless Void Witch Doctor in the safe lane, if they did dual lanes like that, they would still have a problem with Void not farming that well against a Skywrath and Jakiro, because that's a superior lane.
Right.
So what they would have had to do is straight up off-lane Razor and tri-lane safe lane. But that's very awkward, and like, you can maybe do that if after you spot out the lanes, but it would take some adjustments and take some time to do that. And so that's something that's just very atypical. But regardless, what they needed to do, hands down, is not put the Void solo up against the Tide, even if it meant bringing one hero down to help him. That is not a winning lane for the Void whatsoever, and it secures a very fast early Arcane Boots and Blink Dagger on Yoki.
Well, looking ahead now to Game 3. Empire can make it a clean sweep if they can make it 7 in a row. An unthinkable task, one would have imagined, but they have played well enough to make it possible. I'm your host, Aaron AC Chambers. Thanks so much for being a part of the broadcast, guys. The voice on the other side, his name is Trout. We've got more codes to give out to you, but more importantly, we've got more Dota ahead of us. I'm going to go ahead and give you a few more verbally. This is going to be 10 from me. Make sure, though, that you follow me on Twitter. It's @AC, @AYESEE. Follow Tralf. It's @TralfDota, TRALFDOTA. And follow D2L GG. I actually don't know that the D2L account's going to be tweeting any today because the guy who runs it is kind of in transit. But anyway, don't worry. All the codes are going to be given out one way or another. But I'm going to read 10 to you now verbally, so get out your pen and paper, or open your notepad, whatever you want to do. And make sure you follow myself and Trout, as we're going to be tweeting out 10 more apiece coming up as soon as basically I go off the air. So make sure you're watching for that as well. The way it works is you go to Dota2Lounge.com, you sign in via Steam, and then you head to Dota2Lounge.com/giveaway. And if you're the first person to enter one of these codes, you end up with 2 very awesome chests and 2 free items that, 2 free item sets, as a matter of fact, that I'm sure you're going to love. So here you go. Get ready. Code number 1, E76CD391. Code 2, E7FBABD7. Code 3, E9C90B Code 4, EAA81D54. Code 5, EB9D7C26. Code 6, EBA70B9B. Code 7, ED43AC98. Code 8, ED74157B. Code 9, EE2FCC16. And finally, our last code of this batch, EE401FOD. Also, got a little surprise for everyone that's listening. I am going to be throwing it back old school. I'm going to be keeping a promise I made to Jimmy Ho, to my good friend Demon, and a few others. At the end of this broadcast, I will be reading off and thanking every viewer individually, just like the old days. So make sure you tell your friends to come on in. I guarantee you can't equal the longest list I've done. Prove me wrong, viewers. Get your friends in. Tell everyone to come watch the D2L, or hell, just tell them to make a joke account, log in, and make me read something stupid at the end. Either way, it'll be a lot of fun. So,